So I just got every single class in the beta to level 25, including Necromancer and Druid. And I gotta say, one of these two classes I think is probably definitely the best in the game, or at least in the beta at level 25 as of now. But since I already covered the other three classes in the previous beta weekend, I'm just going to be covering Necromancer and Druid as of this video. If you want to see the other three classes, you can check out the last video review, quote unquote, I did to see how I feel about those ones. I will preface the video by saying this is just from my experience and what I've done. I've looked up 0 other builds. I've looked up 0 other people playing these classes. Just from me playing the game and my experiences and the builds that I went with. So your results may vary. I could be completely wrong, but this is just me. So I just got level 25 with the Necromancer, and I'm a bit indifferent. In ARPGs, I typically play like pet minion classes. Like that's typically what I always go for because I just think it's fun to have a bunch of little dudes running around killing shit for you. But I don't know, this Necromancer felt kind of, to put it simply, kind of boring. With that being said, definitely super strong. I think even with like not even good gear at level 25, just random legendaries and random rares, I think this character I have in this build is better than all the other characters I've played so far. Like I could just AFK and stand in an event and my minions will just kill everything. And I don't have any affixes that are boosting their damage or anything like that. The only damage increase I believe I have is from the skill tree giving them 15 plus, I think it's plus 45 movement speed and damage for the skeletons and for the mages. This class feels super strong, at least compared to the other ones at 25. But it feels like the least interactive one. I had to use 2 of my skill slots for minions, for the skeletons and for the golem. And even then it didn't feel like I had to make like a hard decision because a lot of the skills just felt like utility. Like there weren't a lot of like damage things. It's a lot of maybe curses, slowing them down, stunning them type of skills. I don't know. The class feels weird. The skills feel weird. It's very strong, but it's just I'm a bit indifferent. I don't know if it's because this is my 4th time getting to level 25 in the beta and I'm getting a bit worn out. I haven't touched Druid yet, so we're going to see how Druid is, but I don't know. Regardless, I'm definitely going to play Necromancer eventually during the launch. I am a fan of minions and pet builds and stuff, and Necromancer is the class for that in Diablo. But I guess we'll just have to see how things go out and if there's any skill changes, or if I'm just doing something weird. I might have to watch someone else and see their build and see if there's just something I'm not getting. Again, it's not that the class is bad at all. I think as of now, without playing Druid, Necromancer is the strongest, actually. Like, it's just insane damage, and I almost died like once, kind of. But like I can just stand in front of bosses and just melt them without even like worrying about dying or anything. They just melt. And that is without having like a very synergetic build. It's literally just minions boosted their damage and then this pressing left and right quick. Like I'm not doing anything crazy with any affixes or any skills. I don't think I am anyway. It's just super strong, but super dull. As you can see with the gear I have basically nothing meshing well together to make my build or anything good. It's just Necromancer is kind of very good, at least in these earlier levels. My basic ability was Bone Splinters. My core ability was Blight. I had Raised Skeletons and Golem for my minions. I have Corpse Explosion and Bone Storm. Like Necromancer is a resource like build and dump kind of class, because you have your essence and you dump that by using your ability. But honestly, it feels like Bone Splinters, like your ability that builds, it feels better than at least the ability I chose for dumping. That with Corpse Explosion and minions, that's like I used basically 2 abilities and that's all I need to do. It's kind of insane. I don't know. Maybe I'm just used to pet minion builds where you have to really work to make the minions viable. Otherwise, they're kind of just there and they kind of like do some damage, but they aren't like doing most of your damage. Maybe it's just I'm not used to that, so it's kind of different, but I'm sure Necromancer will probably be a lot more fun to play at max level and in game and beyond. Playing Druid right after playing Necromancer is like night and day. You have to work so much harder as Druid to get anything done. Although I think Druid's abilities are much more interesting, Druid just feels so much worse than Necromancer. I initially wanted to try Lightning Storm because it seemed cool, but all of Druid's core abilities take so many resources to cast. Like, in order to cast it a few times, you're basically out of energy. And since it seemed like a more of a large group of enemies type of ability, it didn't seem very good against elites or bosses. So I just eventually switched off that. I eventually ended up with a build that revolved around stunning and then proccing this thing called Terremote. So whenever I use my landslide ability, my main core ability, if I stun someone, I get a stack of Terremote, and if I cast my core ability, it crits like every time. The only problem with that is that, again, core abilities cost so much, and with this ability itself, it hits twice. So every time it hits, it takes away one stack. So it's not just cast once, that's one stack. It's every time it hits anything, it takes away stack. So with the build I ended up eventually having, I didn't really want to waste these stacks on small mobs, and my basic resource building ability, it barely tickled things. Like, I would have to cast it 10 plus times to kill anything. This class felt much more interactive and fun compared to Necromancer, but it was so much more work, so much weaker. I died in general. I didn't die once as Necromancer. And even with building into Fortify, I still died so much. Like, at least with this build, it specifically felt like an elite killing, like run through a dungeon, kill an elite, ignore everything, stun everything to build up stacks, run to the next elite, kill the elite, build up a bunch of stacks for the boss, melt the boss. That's the only thing this build and this character felt good for. Everything overall felt pretty weak. I didn't try too many of the transforming abilities. I have a couple on my bar, but those are mostly for getting life back, attacking faster so I can build up resources faster, and stunning. I did try the Werebear's basic ability because it has a stun on it. You can spec into a stun, but it attacks so much slower than the other abilities. It just didn't feel worth it at all. Another thing with Druid compared to Necromancer is that it feels like you need affixes for this character to make it anything make it useful at all. One of the affixes that made a huge difference was landslides, earth pillars. Each strike is second time, dealing 12% bonus damage. So basically, my core ability, my resource spending ability that takes up like a fourth of all of my energy, it casts twice essentially. It doubles the damage. Well, it more than doubles the damage, which is absolutely insane. Like, I get affixes are supposed to be really good, but that seems, I don't know. Without that, the ability just it feels incredibly worse. I like the idea of Druid a lot. Druid seems really cool, but I'm gonna have to wait and see other people's builds or wait for launch and see how Druid plays out, because it just feels really weak right now, in my opinion, based off what I've seen and what I've experienced. My final build consists of Earth Spike, Landslide, Blood Howl, Vine Creeper, Trample, and Petrify. All of these abilities include stunning, which procs the crit 100% chance for my core ability, minus the Blood Howl. That is specifically so I can get some health back and so I can attack faster for more resources. Because for some reason, I'm not sure if it's just me or what's going on, but Druid feels really squishy. Like I'm taking so much damage as this character. Maybe it's because I'm not killing all the small mobs really quick compared to the other classes I played, but I just die so fast even with max overshield. And it's unfortunate because we can't see the character's like speciality because the quest is like way outside of the beta area. So unfortunately, I can't experiment with that. It drops Druidic Spirit offerings, which is what you use to offer to somebody to increase something. I'm not sure what, because it's not in the beta, but that seems like a cool thing. Maybe it makes Druid a bit better, but until full release, we're gonna have to wait and see what that even entails. So that's basically it. It's basically the same as the first weekend, except we have 2 new classes, and there seems to be some changes with the story and some quests. Queue times were much shorter, but the latency and the connection in general was really bad because, I don't know, maybe they opened up more servers, so it takes less time to get in, but it was just so laggy. Like, playing Necromancer, my skeletons are just teleporting everywhere, and it was just a lot of rubber banding, and it wasn't too great. But aside from that, I don't have too much else. Thanks for watching. I appreciate it. I'll be uploading a bunch more videos unrelated to Diablo, as well as Diablo once it comes out. So if you're interested, feel free to subscribe and let me know what you think. Thanks for watching.